Let's take a look at using a curtain wall style in AutoCAD Architecture for something completely different than a curtain wall. This new tool that I just created for the next release of our electrical kit has a series of pendants that will repeat automatically. So if I pick on the tool and I just draw it out, say 12 feet, I get a series of pendant symbols in plan view, and then I get this in 3D. So the symbols are automatically spaced out, and they're a certain height above the floor, and I can grab the fixture or the pendant ceiling mounts. I can grab the top of those and bring them up to different ceiling heights. I can also go over here on base height and just tell it I want it 9-foot ceiling. The other thing that I can do, if I want to use a polyline or even a spline, so I can go ahead and just create a spline that does something like this. I can go ahead, right-click on the tool, apply tool properties to a reference base curve, and the pendants will follow that curve. So if I look at it in plan view, I can get rid of these over here. So let's go ahead. If you think you could use a tool like this, you can wait for the next release to get this one, or I'll just show you how I did it. So let's go ahead and go to my next drawing here. So to make a tool like that out of a curtain wall, what I need are blocks, and I'm going to take the blocks and replace or add to curtain wall components. So instead of a frame, say, or a mullion, I'm going to replace that or add to that one of my blocks. So I've got I've got 3 blocks here basically, but 2 of them are the important ones. So here's the fixture itself, which is a dome with a light bulb inside of it, and then I have the ceiling mount here. The ceiling mount has an insertion point at the very top, as does the dome, very top here. Then I created the plan. This is a 2D plan view of the symbol itself, so that when you look at it in plan view, it'll look like plan. And then I've created a generic circle here. Let me start with the circle, because we need to do something with that. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the circle just to show you. It's just a circle. So I'm going to go ahead and type in C for circle and just draw D diameter 1 inch. It's a 1-inch diameter circle. I'm going to go ahead and type in profile, define, and then this is something I think all users should really have in their template files, is a 1-unit circle. And the reason you should have that is because a 1-unit circle can be used for any scale. So you could always, inside of objects, you could type in the size you want and it'll always come out correctly. Set from here. And we're going to go ahead and just snap to the center. There we go. And we're done. So we have a 1-unit circle readily available. I also recommend having a 1-unit square readily available. Okay, so that's just a profile. We're going to use that later. So these are the blocks and then the profile. Now, to clarify or to help illustrate the plan that I have for turning a curtain wall into a pendant layout tool, we'll take a look at what I have on the screen. This is the outline of a curtain wall. So the yellow is the frame, the red ones are the horizontal divisions, and the green lines are the vertical divisions. Okay, so imagine that you have your pendant fixture here, and it'll just end up repeating from there to here as you're dragging it out, like I just showed earlier, right? So that's what's going on. But it's sort of complicated because I wanted to make it adjustable. So some part of it has to stretch, essentially. And that would be this piece in here where I wrote variable. This height will be the adjustable portion. So we'll have a fixed something here at the top and then a fixed something here at the bottom. All of this stuff down here will be blanked out. Okay, so the next thing you need to know is curtain walls are a little funny when it comes to the frame. And the frame itself, when you draw it, has what's called a start and an end. But when you go inside this, the style, it has left and right. So just kind of try to keep those two things together. That left is start and right is end, depending. Well, you could reverse draw it, and then it would be different. But if it's drawn just straight according to your UCS world, it's left is start and right is end. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up is that what is bottom on the end, on the right here, what is bottom down here, becomes top over here. So this, if I'm saying this is bottom, when you get over to this side here, that's considered top. Okay, so it's kind of funny. It'll flip like that. And I think that's just the only thing that you need to know. Maybe some logic here. Let me turn. I have a layer. I'm going to turn that layer on. Okay. So where I'm going to place blocks are where I have all these gray circles. Those are the places the blocks are going to go. And because of what I basically just explained, that left and right, or start and end, or they see things differently. I'm actually going to need separate blocks, even though you would think, well, can't I use the same block for left and right? Not quite. So we're going to have one block here, another block here. We're going to have repeating blocks here, and then another one here, and another one here. So it's a total of six points on the curtain wall you can think of. 6 points where I need to focus and attach my blocks. The ones in the middle here, the mullions, those will just repeat, so I don't need to address each one of those. But for the frame part, I do need a left and right, and a lower and a lower left, a lower right, an upper left, and an upper right, and then just middles. Okay, so let's get going on this. All right, so I'll type in curtain wall style. And I'll go ahead and I'll just say pendant 1. You can name it whatever you want. So we'll get into the curtain walls, and I'm just going to jump straight down to my divisions. And I'm going to rename horizontal division. I'm going to go ahead and call that, how about fixture heights. And then for the vertical, I'm going to say fixture spacing. Okay, so just get those two names clear in my mind so I know what I'm setting up. So let's do fixture spacing because that's the easiest one. We want to make sure it's vertical, and we want to just make it very simple here. We'll start off with 2 feet on center. So each of these light fixtures will be 2 feet spaced apart. And so that we don't get any funny results that we don't understand, we'll undo any of these extra special things that do the shrink control and stuff. But do come back and play with those if you need to have automatic equalized spacing, no matter, let's say you draw at some funny number, it's 11.3½, and you want just equal, you can do that with shrink or grow. But I'm going to leave that alone. So that's the vertical. Let's go to the horizontal spacings. Now these are going to need to be manually done. So set this to manual. And I'm going to go ahead and set a distance from the top. This distance from the top is going to be the height of my ceiling mount block, which is that 3D, it's basically a cylinder, right, that's screwed to your ceiling, your sheetrock. So mine happens to be 2 5/8 of an inch high. So I just know that. You would have to have whatever number yours is set to, set in there. And then now the next one we do will be from the grid bottom. And this is how high from the floor do you want your fixture to be mounted. So let's just start off with something like 5 feet 6 inches. So I have 5 feet 6 inches from there. And don't worry if some of these numbers, you don't know the value right now, you can always come in here and make adjustments. So it's fantastic. It's all stored in this little database, and you can come back and make changes. Okay, so the next thing we want to take a look at is the infills. So we're not going to use infills. This really isn't a curtain wall. This is a tweaked curtain wall. So we're going to blank this out, and I like to write blank for those things, so I know it doesn't do anything. And the way to blank out an infill is just to set the value to 0. Next thing we'll do is we'll go down to the frames, and the default frame I'm going to make blank. So I'm going to rename that to blank, and I'm going to 0 that out as well, so all values will be 0. Now I'll create my first new frame, and if you go back and reference the image that I showed of the left and the right, the start and the end, and the divisions, you can probably see the logic of what I'm about to do here. So I'm going to start with the left. So I'm going to call that start, but you could also call it left if you want to. So start ceiling mount maybe, right? And then I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to set this to 1/4, and I'm going to go ahead. I don't really need to do this, but graphically it'll look better on the screen, in my opinion. If I go ahead and use the profile, here's the profile I created at the very beginning, the 1 unit circle. I'm going to set the width and depth so that it accepts this value here. It'll adjust to that value, even though it's a 1 inch diameter circle. It'll now become 1/4 inch. Now the thing I need to do next is I need to go over here and push that frame, that left frame or start frame. I need to push it over so it's centered on the dimensional value of its length. So that becomes 1/2 of what this is set to the width. So it becomes 1/8, sorry, 1/8. Okay, so when I lay out these pendants, I'm going from center pendant to center pendant, not outside of edge of pendant. You know, when you draw curtain walls, it typically measures from the outside of the frame. So now I'm going to make my next one, and my next one will be let's see, start. Oops, chord. And then I'll just do another one, end, let's see here, we'll make this one end ceiling mount, and right click and do end chord. Okay, so these are all going to have the same values that I set there, the quarter, unit circle, 1/8 off. Okay, all of these are identical in their dimensional values down here. They just have different names. And then we'll go down to mullions, and I'm going to go ahead and make this blank and 0 that out. Okay, and then I'm going to create my first mullion, and I'm going to go, let's see, middle, ceiling mounts, and I'll need the same value as 1/4. 1/4, and use the profile, set the width, set the depth. There's no offset on that. These are the pieces. They're the mullions. They don't need offsets. And then one more new, and I'm going to call this middle chords. All right, and that copies all the values down. So all the same stuff here. So that's good. I've created all of my elements in here. So now I'm going to go back up to the top of my primary grid. And if you take a look at my sketch here, it has 1, 2, and 3 cells. So I have to account for those 3 cell assignments. So I'll do a new, and I'll do do a new. Just right click here, new. All right, and then I'm just going to start from the top. So this one will be set to top, and what goes up at the top, I can name that. That'll be the let's just say ceiling. Let's see. Ceiling mounts, and then for the next one, let's call this one chords. All right, and that one's going to be set to middle. And then the one at the bottom here, I could rename that just so you know what this one can be considered blank. Nothing's going to be used at that bottom portion of the curtain wall. All right. See, we'll now go down here. So we have the frame assignment, and we have the mullion assignments are defaulting to the rename things as blank, and that's good. Another way to blank out a frame is to just uncheck all of these things in here, and then it won't draw any frame around the outside. So it doesn't really matter. And you can even do both. You can uncheck all of these and have it blank. But blank allows me, it's a personal preference, to just know, oh, I'm not using that. So let's go over here now to the ceiling mounts. And for the ceiling mount, we want to make sure that it's using the vertical divisions. So that's great. And then for the cell assignments, we're going to do a blank. That's correct. For the frame assignment, we're going to need a left and a right. So I guess I can set the first one to start ceiling mount, and go ahead and set this to left. All right. Then I'll do another one, and I will go ahead and set this to end ceiling mount, and set that to right. All right, and that's all that I need here. And let's see, for the mullions, we will want middle ceiling mounts. All right, so that'll be all of the mullions. Now we got to repeat that work over here under the chords. So we'll go ahead and we'll set this one here to the start chord, set this to left, and right click here, new, and we'll set this one to end chord, and do this one right, and we'll go ahead down to the cell assignment and do the middle chords for that. All right, so now that should work as the curtain wall. Now I haven't attached any blocks to it yet, so why don't we test it before we go too far? So I'll do an apply and an OK. And then I'll go ahead and do a curtain wall add, and make sure I have that there. And then for the height, let's make the height, I don't know, something like 9 feet. And then go ahead and draw this out, say 8 feet. Okay. Now I don't see anything. That would be normal because I haven't done cut planes and things like that. So I'm just going to rotate into 3D. Okay, and zoom down. Now what I want to see here is exactly what I'm seeing. I want to see the chord broken into 2 parts. So upper and lower chord all the way through here. That's what I want. Then I know I'm on track. The upper part of this chord is going to be replaced with a ceiling mount. And the bottom of the chord is not going to be replaced. It's just going to have an attachment to it. We're going to attach some component, which is going to be the block. We're going to attach this, the fixture, to the bottom of the chord. All right, so this is the part that's pretty tedious, but it's worth all the work, I think. So we go to display properties, go do an override on the model. We go to other, and we just start attaching blocks. Okay, so let me see if I can do something logical. How about we just go upper left frame, which is the start side frame. So we're going to go to the frame component here. We'll go to the start ceiling mount. We're going to do draw graphics. We're going to replace it, and we're going to select the block that was intended to be the ceiling mount. So here's the name for that. We're going to do a center and a center. But if you remember where I said that funny thing about how bottom becomes top, well, that's where we have to do the opposite here. So I want to attach it to the bottom, but I'm gonna mirror it. So it's this little, can't really see it on my screen now. So let's see, bottom, bottom, bottom. Okay, so that looks good, and I mirrored it. Let's just make sure that works so you can follow on the logic of it. So there it is, and it got flipped, and it's sitting correctly, right? So it's also replacing that little piece. All right, so we'll just go back. All right, let's do the other side. So frame, and we're going to do the end ceiling mount. And graphics, we're going to replace the graphics, and we're going to go ahead and do the ceiling mount. We're going to do center, center, and this time we're going to do top, and no mirror on that. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the mounts for the mullion part. So we'll go ahead and do the ceiling mounts. We'll do draw graphics, we'll replace, and we'll do the mounts. And we're going to do center, center, and top. Okay, and okay, and okay, and okay, and it should look like that. Perfect. Okay, now if you have anything that looks weird, where this is flipped around or it's sitting in a wrong, just go back and do the edit, go back to your model, find the one that's doing something weird, and go in and edit and just make sure, do you have mirror on and do you have bottom where it's needed? That's really, you know, the only thing I can think of that would cause you any unusual problems. So we'll do okay. Let's go ahead and do the fixtures now. So frame, this is going to be the start chord. On the start chord, I'm going to add the custom graphics, and it's going to be the this dome fixture. I'm not going to replace the graphics. I do want to keep that chord. That's going to be the adjustable part. I want to do center, center. I want to do top and mirror it. Okay, remember that left side is the weird one. And okay, and this is checked just to be sure. So there it is, sitting at the bottom, even though I said top. And let's go ahead and go and do the other side now. So we'll go to frame. We'll go to the end chord and draw custom graphics. Don't replace. Add the dome fixture. Center, center. Let's see, bottom is correct on that side. No mirroring. And let's go ahead and do the last part here on the mullions. We're going to go ahead and do the chord. We're going to attach the dome. We're going to do center, center, bottom. Okay. Now if I did everything correctly, it should come out looking like that. Fantastic. So here's where you get to pick it, and you can now either on your properties palette, you can adjust the height, or you can just grips adjust it. Right, so you can come way down like that. I mean, I think that's really cool. So let's do 8 feet. And now, if you need to adjust the fixture height, let's say you've done your island and you decided, well, these are sitting too high, then you can go in here and jump to your design rules. And just on the primary grid, here's where you set the fixture height. So let's say you wanted to bring them down to 5 feet. You could just say 5 feet there, and then they all go down to 5 foot height off the floor. Let's see, what else? Oh, so when we create something like this, we have to remember that there's other views to consider. So if I go ahead and I go to view and I go to, let's say, top view, it's going to disappear. I didn't do the cut plane setting. I haven't even addressed how this very customized curtain wall is supposed to behave and plan. So I can do curtain wall style, just typing it in, and I'm going to have to do some extra customization work here. Actually, all of these displays now have to be customized. I'm just going to do the one plan, but what I'm about to do, you would need to repeat on all these other display representations. So I'll override the plan. I'm going to go to cut plane, and I'm going to check override. And I don't really care about this one here. So the logic on what I'm going to pick is I want to pick a point between the ceiling mount and the fixture that is most likely to stay constant. It'll never be overridden. The mounts will never go below this point, and the fixtures will never go above that point. So I'm thinking 7 foot for those pendants. So if I move the pendants, the fixtures up and down, probably not going to go over 7 feet. And the ceiling mounts, I doubt I'll ever do a kitchen where the ceiling mounts would be at 7 foot or under. So that's why I'm picking that number. And then for custom plan components, I'll go into add, and I got to do all this work for frame. I got to pick the chords here. So start chord, and I'm going to go ahead and custom graphics. I probably should replace it. I'll go ahead and stick in I have a plan block that I showed you earlier, and I'm going to do center and center. Now this is a plan, this is not 3D, so there's no need to worry about the rotating stuff. So that's all good. Then I got to do it again. I got to do frame. I got to do chord on the, so let's see what I did. Start, once I got to do the end chord, and replace, plan block, and center, and center. And then one more. This one will be the mullions. and I'll do the chords, draw the graphics, replace the graphics here, and plan, and center, and OK, and OK, and apply, and OK. And now we should see, there we go, right? And just pick it to make sure that should read as center, center. If this is not showing up as center, go back and listen to the earlier part of this video about how I did a 1/8 of an inch offset to make that work like that. Even though the grip here is way out there, it's reading from here. That is the center of the objects. Now you can flip it, and this is all the curtain wall stuff. You can bring this in like that. And also go back to the video where I showed you how to change the spacing here if you have unusual divisions like that occurring. This has been set up to be, you know, even increments of 2 feet. I think that's it. If we take a look at left, it'll look like that. If we take a look at front, they'll look like that. If you do a shade on them, realistic, yeah, they'll look like that with their little ceiling mounts up there. All right, so that covers how to make a custom pendant curtain wall tool. I don't know what to call it. And then if you save this and drag it over to your custom tool palette, you can right-click and you can do the apply tools to a reference base curve in order to make it follow polylines or splines. Yeah, so that's it.